Hey, thanks for stopping by.
This meeting is being recorded. Please hit the
Recording in
button.
progress.
You know what's
It's
creepy about Zoom now? There's
but
and the people love it at work and it freaks me out. Zoom now has an AI notes feature that when you're in like a meeting and stuff and you hit record, like AI will record your whole meeting and then send you a summary of
is
like
that what that
everything
whole
that was
record to
discussed.
cloud thing?
I don't know. I don't think that's it.
Because there's
You
like a
have
now
to
like
like,
record to cloud. Like you can't just record a Zoom meeting. It's this weird little process you have to go through.
oh, I don't know. It records right to my computer, so I don't know anything about recording to cloud.
Oh,
Um, but I know
maybe
it's
you
like
need to teach me.
yeah, I know it's like a special thing though that you have to enable where it's like, oh yes, I would like AI to process this meeting for notes. Um, yeah, it freaks me out. We last week another person I know, Ganit, was on. We were talking the vision, and we talked about how like yeah, AI is bad. I don't like AI. We had strikes for a reason. Why? Why are we
Mm-hmm.
doing this?
Yep.
Um, but yeah, no, how you doing? How's life?
Life's been great. I mean, working on both my master's degree and full-time teaching has been quite literally hell, but we're getting through it.
Now, are you in the classroom or are you mostly
I
doing the
am a
classes?
full-time teacher.
How's that? Because, I hear the fun stories from other people I know that are teachers, whether they be family or whatnot, and it's always like, kids are fun today.
Kids are very fun. I love my kids, but I'm in a 6 1-to-1 special education classroom, which means I have
Mm,
very high support children,
yeah.
and they're wonderful, and I love working with them and everything, but was not what I was prepared for my first year teaching.
I
We're
imagine it's
learning by
like,
doing.
it's a lot. What's the word? Because like I imagine it's a lot more hands-on and involved than
Oh yeah.
like sit and read and then we'll talk about it in like 20 minutes type deal, right?
No, it's very little independent work. We do have some
Yeah.
independent work, but it has to be things that I know they've mastered and are able to do on their own.
Hmm.
And it's more just for refreshing the skills. It's a lot of hands-on instruction, and I actually don't teach as much as I thought I would because I'm every day I have a one-to-one like 20-minute session with each of my students to work on their goals.
Hmm.
So my paras, like my classroom aides, they're the ones kind of actually teaching like the math and science and English and that sort of stuff.
Fun. Wouldn't you rather be an archer?
Is that your segue?
That's my segue.
That's your segue?
I'm having horrendous segues. I had nothing in my head of being like, how do I get from special ed teaching to Hawkeye?
I don't know, man.
I had nothing. And then I was
I
just
will
there
tell you,
like,
my life is falling apart in a similar vein.
right, right. So we'll jump into the intro here. So, hello there, and thank you so much for visiting your local comic shop. I'm Sean, and today Everett has stopped by to talk Hawkeye. If this is your first time listening or watching, visiting your local comic shop is a podcast where we normally talk comics in a book club style format. The titles guests and I are reading can be found on my socials at local comic shop, well ahead of new episodes discussing them. And new episodes drop every Monday at midnight. I sense the laughter and hilarity at this script right
I'm
now.
sorry. Seeing you be professional is always so fun.
For audio listeners, this podcast can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud. For those who prefer video, the podcast can also be found on YouTube. Please feel free to follow or subscribe on your platforms of choice. If you like the show and want to support it, I encourage you to subscribe to our Patreon. Subscribing gives you the opportunity to see behind the scenes content, learn how the podcast gets made, and or gain access to resources for both reading and digital creation. Thank you to all who subscribe to this show in any way, shape, or form. I truly appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get started and talk Hawkeye, because
Yup.
still don't have that one memorized. I'm not gonna have it memorized till like if I get up to like episode 50 or something.
Don't worry, you learned your lines in high school, so you should be able to do
Oh
it now at
God.
some
You know what's something
point.
you know what's something I thought about, especially like recently, because I have a I have a touchscreen computer. I don't use it as often for the touchscreen part of it.
hmm
But at Comic-Con this past year, when I was waiting for another panel to start for like DC, I attended the
hmm
panel before it so I'd have a good seat. And it was like a digital art, but it was like for webtoon manga style art.
Oh,
But still, I was watching it and I'm like, oh, so that's how you can use Photoshop to do the different layers the sketch layers, adding inks and stuff on top of it. So just recently I like did a sketch because I'm doing a D&D thing that I got invited to do.
What?
Yeah, on Zoom. That'll be revealed this week. That'll be revealed by the time this episode comes out. So I'm doing that, and I drew like a little sketch of my guy digitally. And something I thought about, I'm like, I spent so much time like growing up just watching shows when I could have been reading more comics and have a more in-depth thing. And same with like and like I know we did chorus, we did the drama and everything. I'm like, I wish I took art instead. I could have been
You
better at
didn't have fun
drawing.
with me?
I had fun, but I was just there. I just thought about that like today, like especially looking at like the Hawkeye art by David Aja. I'm like, why didn't I take art classes instead of music? Because like, yeah, music was fun, but I'm not singing for a living now. Like I would love to be able to do more with art.
I don't know. I mean, you could come join me and have fun doing our community theater. That's what I thought the response was going to be. I say as I'm
So,
wearing Broadway merch, but
oh wow. Yeah, no, the last Broadway show I went to, honestly, was probably pre-COVID. I think the last thing I saw on Broadway was it was either the Jake Gyllenhaal Tom Sturridge play, Seawall of Life,
yeah.
which was phenomenal. I love that. And then I saw Betrayal. I saw that one where it's Charlie Cox, Tom Hiddleston,
Oh, that's
and
right.
Zoe
Of course you
Ashton.
went to go see that.
Yeah, I saw that one, and that was a good time. However, and it was weird because it was like Charlie Cox and Tom Hiddleston, and that's Zoe Ashton's an actor that I've seen her in multiple projects, including the
Mhm.
Marvels. I don't know. I find the acting disinteresting to me. I've seen Velvet Buzzsaw, I've seen now the Marvels, I've seen Betrayal. I don't know. It's just I guess she's just not an actor for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I like her enough. Like it's
hmm
I mean, she's not one of my like absolute favorites of all time, but at the same time, like when she's in something, I'm not like, "Oh, darn it." I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah,
there she
exactly.
is."
I'm
Is there
like, all
anything? Oh,
right,
there you
let
are.
let's see how it is this time. And then I watch it, I'm like, all right. It's
I don't
not
know.
like
That was my
another
reaction to the Marvels in
yeah.
general. Eh,
I actually, you know what? I thought it was fine. I
it
thought it
was
was a
fine. It
good
was cute. And
time.
this is coming from somebody who loves all of the Ant-Man movies. It just
Even
wasn't,
Quantumania,
listen, I know.
even Quantumania.
It is a fun time.
hmm Yeah, no,
I'm not gonna sit here and say it's like high cinema or like true art or whatever, but I pop that movie in and I just think it's fun. It's
uh
fun and silly.
no, I remember just watching that in theaters being like, all right, we're here. Like
Yeah,
I
all
was
you gotta do.
so I was just so disinterested with that movie. And I remember like this was the thing with The Last Jedi too. We'll get to Hawkeye eventually.
We
This
will.
this was a thing with The Last Jedi too. And same with like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There are some movies that I feel like the ending's gonna go one way that I'm like, oh, this will actually let the movie have some impact if it does this. And then I watch the ending and I go, okay, it didn't do that. I wasted my time watching this
The
movie.
Last Jedi, really? Because The Last
Yes.
Jedi for me could have had a lot of impact if they didn't switch it up for Rise of Skywalker. Like The
Well,
Last Jedi, basically what it did is it said, okay, Kylo Ren is now the big bad of the universe. There is no
mhm.
coming back from this. He is the bad guy.
Oh, see,
Like,
mine's a little more dark. When Finn was like flying into the death laser,
Jesus
I
Christ.
literally was like, "Oh, this movie's gonna have some impact. A really good character is sacrificing themselves, and I'm gonna feel the weight and the loss of that." And then Rose like prevents it, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I thought that movie would have had more impact if Leonardo DiCaprio's character got killed at the end.
You just want characters to
I think
die.
so. I think so. But like the whole point of the movie is like he's down on his luck. He's struggling to make it in Hollywood, and he forces himself to change his mentality and his values of what he sees himself doing in Hollywood by doing like the foreign films. And I thought it would have been a more interesting message if, it was like, okay, he did everything to make it in Hollywood and the city still, chewed him up and spit him out type deal. I thought that
Mm.
would have been more interesting, but no, instead which don't get me wrong, the scene's awesome where he takes the flamethrower to, the cultists and everything. However, I was just like, all right, so the ending is just his buddy goes to the hospital and he meets Sharon Tate, or I think that was the name and everything. I'm like, okay, why did I
See, I
watch
haven't seen
this?
the movie, but I do know about the Manson murders, and I believe you are talking
Yeah,
about Sharon Tate.
pretty sure, yeah, yeah. And then the other thing was so then with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, I thought I thought Scott and Hope were gonna get stuck in the quantum realm since the portal closed. And I thought it was gonna be like, oh, they're gonna be stuck in here for a while, and we're probably not gonna see them till, the next Avengers or whatever, and they'll have
Mm.
been staying in the quantum realm. And then it's like, ah nah, we got the portal back open and we got a bad Baskin Robbins cake and we're all good. And I was
What do you
just
have
like,
against
all
Baskin
right.
Robbins, my man?
I gotta be honest. I've never had a good milkshake from Baskin Robbins. I've always been disappointed.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Wait,
I,
what?
it's
Hold
always,
on.
it's always been milky. It's never been like Carvel or Haagen-Dazs. It's always just been like, why did I spend money on this?
Oh, see, I always get their smoothies.
Mm.
That's been like my like post like when I was working in theater and like we did morning shows right after for like lunch I'd get like a smoothie from the Baskin Robbins.
Well, you said before we started recording that you're doing like the gym and stuff or working out. So is
I
the
am
smoothies part
playing
of that?
Just Dance.
That's it? That's all?
I am playing an
Which
hour
one
and a
though?
half of Just Dance 2003 every day.
Oh, 2003. The only Just Dance I really played was like Just Dance 4. That was the one.
See, that was I don't have the consoles for that anymore,
That was like the
but I have Just
Barnes
Dance
Courtney
Plus,
one.
so
What was the song that's like, I need to know now? I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, Hawkeye.
yeah. Yeah, sorry guys.
So God,
Yes, I'll open up
that was
open up
probably
my
like
my
10
textbook
that was 10
to
minutes of rambling. So yeah, no,
you can cut it
so
down.
nah, I don't edit. Um And so,
Okay.
I had to edit last week's because, and I've learned my lesson. I had, I guess, the zoom window too narrow, and because the windows were stacked on each other, it
Mm-hmm.
recorded that way, so it didn't fit the frame horizontally. So I had to like
Ooh.
duplicate them and crop it, and yeah.
Oh,
So it was
that's not
fun.
fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was an easy enough fix. It was only one segment. Um, but yeah, no, so Hawkeye. So we read Hawkeye by I'm already messing up here.
You got
So
it.
written by Matt Fraction, art by David Aja, but there were a number of guest artists on this. This is gonna be a
Yes.
two-parter because I done messed up and I was busy this past week. I had a vacation, ended the vacation, went back to work, and I was like, I'm still gonna keep up with my reading. And I only got through the first 12 issues of this 22 issue run and the annual issue. So this will be a part one, and then we'll reconvene to talk the second half.
Yes.
So,
See, I read them all as they were coming out. I have
okay.
all four books,
Ew. Oh, you got the
which
trades too. I read them on Marvel Unlimited.
see, I had this was like right when like was it called Marvel Unlimited at the time when when that was like coming out, like the first app?
I wouldn't know. I don't
It
think
was
I
like
really got it till
way back when,
late
which you
2010s.
could tell because there was a Sandy issue of this comic.
Sandy? What?
Did you not notice the entire issue about Hurricane Sandy?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was gonna bring that up.
I'm so sorry,
Yeah, no.
like just to
So
tell you how long ago.
yeah, it was
But it was
so the run started in 2011. It was 2011 to 2013, I believe the run. Oh no,
yes.
it was well the pretty sure it was 2011, but no, it was 2012 to 2015 apparently.
Oh
So,
wow.
but yeah, because Hurricane Sandy, what? That was late 2011, right?
I was
Or was
in
it 2012?
eighth grade. That means you were in seventh. So that was
Yeah, I don't remember.
oh
I
God.
know I was in middle
It was a
school.
time. It
Mm-hmm.
was a time ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But no,
no, it
yes,
was,
but this
and that was a
is
great issue too.
oh God, it hits different. Like it hits different than the entire rest of the series. That one kind of like hits you in a way.
Yeah, and there's reasons for that too that we'll get into. So
Yes,
just
I
to
don't know
open
your format. Will
Yeah, just to open the conversation, because I know who you are. We bump into each other once a year on the train to go to Comic-Con or at Artist Alley. Um,
yeah.
so this is where I ask you, how familiar are you with comics, the Marvel DC universes?
Okay,
Um,
so I could tell you my little comic history. So I was very much a TV cartoon movie person
hmm,
for a long time,
Young
except for
Justice, Earth's Mightiest
yes.
Heroes.
Yup. OG Teen Titans.
Mm, Not
OG
Teen
Teen
Titans Go?
Titans. Okay, I am one of the main defenders of Teen Titans Go.
You know what?
But
I've seen an episode or two. I can see the humor in it.
there's a lot of jokes for people who love the comics. There's a lot of good jokes for kids and everything. I think it's just fun and that people are being too harsh on it.
Well, the episode they showed it at Comic-Con, which I saw because again I was waiting for another panel to start. It was their 400th episode or something, and
Oh God.
they literally sing a song about how they're now DC's longest running animated series and how all other superheroes in animated series can basically suck it. And
Yeah, that sounds like it.
it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Um,
It's great.
yeah.
But so very much movie cartoons, TV shows person, and then I read Runaways because I was reading
Mm,
manga in the public library.
wow. You
Had
just
all,
revealed our town. I might bleep that
oh,
out.
sorry!
Now I'm gonna have to figure out how to make a bleep noise.
You put the little Hawkeye logo over my mouth like they do
I
in that one
will. I
censoring
will.
thing.
I'll do that. Yeah.
Yep,
I'll
sorry
figure it
about
out.
that. Make a note, timestamp.
Timestamp.
Ev fucked up.
It's probably like 15 minutes in.
Yeah, who cares?
15 minutes. Need
Just
to
doxed you.
bleep town. Anyway, so you're reading
So,
manga at a local public
at
library.
a local library, I was reading manga and I stumbled upon the Runaways comic series. And that was the
Mm,
first comic series that I read. And then the first Avengers movie came out
yep, 2012.
and 2012 and I watched it and I don't know why, but I decided that Hawkeye was my favorite.
Interesting that that was after the first Avengers and not the second Avengers. Because I think
Don't, okay, give me a
no.
sec. Give me
Okay.
a sec. Okay,
Okay.
so first Avengers movie comes out. I decided maybe it was because I did archery, if you remember when we were younger.
Yeah.
So probably something with that. I don't know why. I decided Hawkeye's my favorite. It was Captain America, it was Iron Man for a little bit, then it was Hawkeye. And so then I went to the comic store. No, I didn't because this was before the local comic store opened,
Do we
I
even have
think.
one?
We
Don't
do.
say the
It's
name
still the
because
same
then people
one.
know where we're from.
Yeah, that's why I'm avoiding saying it. But yeah, that one.
Because like the only stores I knew of were like ones that would be in like local malls, like one of those chain comic stores.
I didn't even realize we had those until like a couple years ago.
I don't like them though. They're like the hot topics of comic stores
They're
where
like the hot
like
topics of comics, and then they have walls
yeah.
of Funko Pops, and I'm like, I am trying to find
It's
a death in the family.
yeah, it's
Like,
literally just a tiny like shelf of comics and then the rest is just hot topic and vinyls and
it's
all
not
this
even
stuff.
Hot Topic and vinyls. It is Funko Pops. Like
Yeah.
it is like three walls of Funko Pops. It's
I mean,
wild.
don't get me wrong, I've bought a number of Funkos there,
I have
but
never bought a Funko Pop in my life.
let's if we angle up the camera, we just and that is two layers deep.
That's so funny, my guy. But so I decide I go to this local store. It might have been Barnes and Noble actually.
Mm,
And I pick up the first issue. It was the
the
first
trade.
trade was like
Yeah.
was available. And I don't think the rest were. Maybe the second one, but the last two definitely weren't.
Hmm.
Because I also have not just the trades, but I have the individual issues.
So you collected it all. Die Hard fan right there.
I don't know why. I loved it so much. I loved the art style. I loved the characterization.
Hmm.
It just it made me really love this character.
Hmm.
And so I read all of it, and then Age of Ultron came out. As you know, it is a completely different person in Age of Ultron.
Hmm.
And I left that theater heartbroken because I was so
Oh,
excited
you were
to see
annoyed.
I was so excited to see a bit more focus on Hawkeye. I was hoping so much we'd have a little bit more focus on Clint. And like
And you got that, technically. Be
I
careful what you
did,
wish for.
but it was a very different person.
Hmm.
It wasn't the same disaster that
Mm.
I loved.
Yeah, he's more put together, but
He's much more put
I
together.
loved at least Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye in Age
Uh,
of Ultron because of his personality. With especially, and I think it's probably that scene that everybody goes back to with the look. We're fighting robots, and I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense. Like that's
That
I think that's
that was
the
a good one.
I think that's the best moment in that movie is like him being the self-aware person being like, "Look, this is all nuts, but we got to go out and take care of things."
Oh yeah. No, it's just I think it was the fact that he was a put together family man was seriously I was
Yeah.
like, are you kidding me? Like
Yeah, and it's also, it's weird because what was it? Mockingbird was on Agents of Shield, and then they retcon it that his wife is later Mockingbird in the Hawkeye show. So do you like the Hawkeye show? Because it is pulled heavily from Fraction and Ages
I
run.
loved the Hawkeye show, partially just because it put Kate Bishop on the screen,
Hmm.
and I love Kate Bishop.
Yeah.
She's just an incredible, incredible character. It was, it was a great show. Like it gave me what I was looking for. Like how many years ago was Age of Ultron?
2015. 9. Feel old.
Don't. One of my theater friends said they were going to a 2000s party the other day.
I saw a TikTok which will now be going away, I guess. Where like they interviewed like these kids or whatever, and they looked like they were in like late maybe like 18, 19, maybe 20 tops or whatever. And they're like, how old do you have to be considered old? And they're like, oh, 2000, bro. You're ancient if you're from 2000. And I was just there listening, being like, well, I don't talk like, yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. Like I'm in the Tracksuit Mafia. So I
I love the
I'm
tracksuits.
gonna assume I'm better.
Yeah, no, no, no. I think we're good. I think
Yeah.
we're good. We're not 30 yet.
I got 6 years. 6 years. Good times.
Oh
But
yeah.
so
But
yeah.
yes.
So that's your comic origin story with regards
And then
to
yeah, I've
Hawkeye.
fallen out of Marvel more. I'm not as much of a Marvel person. I am much more of a DC person these days.
Really? I'm
Yeah,
flipping a little bit. I've been reading more Marvel than I've been reading DC lately.
it's Batman.
Hmm.
I don't know, my guy. Well, it's Nightwing, if we're being honest.
That you
And
did
the
the Tom
Damian
Taylor
Wayne
run?
Robin run.
You did the Taylor Bruno Redondo stuff?
Yes.
And then you
I'm not
did the
gonna
Williamson
blame
Damian
the
Wayne.
art.
What'd you say?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
that
said
run
I
was
will
phenomenal.
blame the art.
Yes.
But the Damian Wayne one, I genuinely enjoyed that. It was pretty good.
Oh, it was awesome.
But
I do feel like it fell a little flat towards
no,
the
it
end, just because it was setting up the event. What was it? Lazarus,
yeah,
the Mark Wade one. Oh no, Batman versus Robin. They set up that, which tied into Lazarus Planet. But yeah, so I felt like, but that run was phenomenal. The tournament and everything. Connor
it was
Hawk.
so cool.
That one panel that I'll always remember from that run is Damien and Connor Hawk running at each other as you see the Hawk and the Robin in the background. Beautiful art.
Birds, my guy.
Yeah. So
Like,
and Nightwing was good, but I do feel like Nightwing got repetitive. Um,
listen, sometimes you just need to read something
yeah.
that is just good. Like, it's just fun. Sometimes you
Yeah.
just want to see a guy and his dog.
I feel like that Nightwing run, after reading a good portion of this Hawkeye run, I feel like that Nightwing run had to have pulled some level of inspiration from this Hawkeye run. Because even with
Oh,
the art styles with David Aja and everything, it's very
yeah.
similar to Redonda, where they have like the instructions on how Dick's batons, Eskrima sticks, whatever they're called,
Yep.
work, compared to like Hawkeye and the arrows and everything.
That but like I don't know if we're getting into talking about the comic yet, but that every time when it was showed Kate slowing down
Yeah.
just to show how quickly Clint actually was firing
Hmm.
was so good.
Yeah. So if you want to follow the structure and jump into the comic, all I have is the history of the book and stuff. So I'm
Ooh.
pretty sure I already said it. It came out 2012 between 2015 and that, and it was written by Fraction, art mainly by David Aja. That's pretty much it. So yeah, what did you think of the book?
I love the book. We've only read the first half, which is very good and fun.
Hmm.
And then it splits off into where it gets, I think, more divisive. I haven't really checked the critiques in years.
Well,
But the second half of it splits into like the two different stories pretty much because
yes.
as we saw at the end of this one, Kate and Clint are splitting up for a little bit.
Yeah, they broke up when they're not
They
together. Um,
Yeah, which also made me every time I do I go, "How old's Kate in this one?" Like
Well, that's the thing. So I've now read a bit of Kate Bishop, not like everything she's been in, but for episode 2 we did America, so the first America Chavez
Oh, I
solo
haven't.
series. So we did that one, and she's in that for like 2, 3 issues, and she's the best part of, that series when she shows up, because her and America bouncing off of each other are awesome.
The two of them are always
Um,
good.
I've read the original Young Avengers run because I started binging everything between Avengers Disassembled through to Secret
Wait, hold
Wars.
on. I need to ask this because this is just going to show you how long it's been since I've read Young Avengers.
Hmm.
Is that the one with Novar?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, that's the one.
I read the
The
original.
next one is the one
Yeah,
with Novar. Okay.
I read the original 2000. I think it was like 4 or 5.
Okay, then yeah, that's
Um, yeah, no. So it was only a 12 issue. Um, but yeah, so I've read that, and the thing was, I'm doing this binge to get all the way to Secret Wars. Another guy who does comics on like Instagram and stuff, Tyler Comic Boy, has this whole like what you should read if you want to get like the full scope of the Avengers. So I have like this 700 issue list to like read, and I'm reading it in release order. So I'm going like issue by issue, not
ooh,
trades. And so I got stuck in the middle of the Civil War period, and I can't stand Civil War. And so I literally like took a
same. Hard
pause
same.
and went, all right, I'll get back to this eventually. So I have to finish up Invincible. I have 30 issues left of that, and then I'll get back to that
All
binge.
right.
But I definitely will have to read that because I think some things for Hawkeye will get clarified in an Avengers run.
Probably.
Because
Again, I've loved this series for over 10 years and I've never pinpointed how old Kate is.
yeah, in Young Avengers, I think she's around 18, 19
Yeah,
in that
she's an
run.
adult. She's
So
definitely an
like by
adult.
this point she has to be like I'd say around 22,
Yeah,
24, somewhere
she
in that
seems early
range.
20s.
Yeah. And so yeah, no. So to give the play-by-play of like at least this first half of the book, to run it down, issue 1 is Clint deals with the Tracksuit Mafia who
And
wanted to
gets his
force
dog.
and gets his dog, which by the way, in the show, it's like, oh, we found this dog with only one eye. How sweet, we'll take him in. And in the issue, it's, oh yeah, the Tracksuit Mafia, he was like a trained fighting dog or whatever, and they throw him into the street and he gets hit by a car
Well, they
because
kicked
Clint,
him
because it's, oh
multiple.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They beat the dog and then
Right.
threw him into the street.
Yeah, it was brutal. I'm like, oh Jesus. Um,
Yeah, which also it's kind of like just to prove the intelligence level of the Tracksuit Mafia, they trained a golden retriever as a fighting dog.
yep. Oh, the Tracksuit Mafia is hilarious in this.
They pull
Yo, bro, you best be getting out of this building, bro.
like it's so good.
Yeah, so Clint buys the building, he saves the dog, and I did love that ending to the first issue where it's like, I don't know, it's not my dog. What's the dog's name? Arrow?
Mm.
All right. It's like, okay,
It's like-
this was destiny in a sense.
But also the fact that
Um,
he changes it is the best thing. He's like, nope, I'm not
yeah, we'll
dealing with
figure
that.
it
I'm
out.
not dealing with
So
that.
he goes, I think we could come up with something better.
And they do. Lucky the pizza dog.
Did they let the fans vote for it? I don't remember it from the letter
I
section.
do not remember.
They did it for Haley. They did it for
No,
another
because he was
dog.
named in the same comic.
Oh, I don't know.
Lucky, it's Lucky's the name of the issue, I think. Is it?
Okay.
At least, again, I'm reading the trade, so
Hmm.
they could have added stuff after the fact.
Yeah. But no, so then Hawkeye issue 2 is him and Kate going to no. Yeah, it's him and
Yeah,
Kate
it's
going
him and Kate
to
going to the party.
the party, yeah, where like Kingpin and all these criminals are there, and then they're getting ripped off by a hypnotist criminal. So they rip off the hypnotist criminal who's ripping off the criminals. And I will say, something about this run, it feels very much like Archer. I love that.
Really?
It felt very Archer to me. Because it really had that vibe of like, not spy missions, but it was very much like in this run, I got a real Sterling Archer vibe from Clint,
No,
where
that I can
where it's like
see.
the how every issue starts with the okay, this looks really bad, and like he's going out the window or he's doing this. Like I love like the recurring jokes in this run, even from the editorial standpoint, are phenomenal because I don't know if you get this in the trade. I imagine you don't. But since you have the single issues, at the start of each single issue where they go to give you like the recap, they don't give you a recap. They just say the same thing of Clint Barton is an archer. Here's what he does when he's not with the
Yep,
Avengers. And then
love
it
that.
continues the joke going, why are you still reading this? We're not telling you anything extra. And like it always says something a little different.
They don't do it at the start of each of the issues. They do at the beginning of each book.
Mm.
Um, this
So I'm
one
glad
has
they
like the
kept that up.
enter smug comment here.
Yes, yes, that was in an issue too.
Yeah, they keep
Um,
some of those.
yeah, no, so I think I really got like an Archer sense because also something I found really cool about this book, and again, I don't think you get it from the trades, is at the back of each book in the letters section,
Oh,
they give you music recommendations.
yes, the
So
playlist.
so I have been slowly, like, as I complete this run, I have been adding the songs from each issue to make like the Fraction and Aja Hawkeye playlist. And a lot of the music is very like Archer, where it sounds like that theme song. It's got that spy 60s vibe. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, so that's issue two is great. Then issue three, what was
Sorry, I'm
issue?
like
Oh, issue three is the car.
it
The
the freaking
the
is it a Camaro or
No,
what is it?
it's a 70s Challenger.
Oh,
And
a
that's
nice
where it's
car.
kind of funny, like watching the scene back from Hawkeye that like drew the most inspiration from that, where they're about to let Kate's like, let's take the Challenger, and Clint's like, we're not shattering the window of a 72 Challenger, and it's like, oh, but that's the car they use in the comic.
Yeah, but he also is very upset that the car gets destroyed in
Yeah,
which if you see when it comes up in later issues,
I
it's
hope
in
the
the
car comes
sandy
back.
one. No, it's in the sandy
I
one.
know it's in the Sandy one, but I hope it comes
Which
back.
honestly I don't know if it comes back after
That's
it gets
that's
destroyed in
all
a
I'm waiting
hurricane.
for. I just want to know if it
But if
comes
you watch,
back.
he had replaced the entire hood. Like both
Yes,
fenders
it was
and the
all
hood were
gray and everything.
entirely different
They get
because
to
it got so beaten.
Yeah, so in that issue he's helping her name's later revealed to be Penny, but
Yup.
he it's so and it's just so funny. Like I could see why you like Hawkeye, because like especially like the personality is very just like ADHD all over the place, being
Okay.
like, no, no. And I mean, this is like a funny thing because, like, him being like, oh, yeah, I gotta label my arrows. I gotta get some tape first. I gotta really do that. Oh my God, it's a great 70s Challenger.
Like he gets
Like,
attracted by the car and he's like, "Trust me, I have money.
I
Let me
have money.
buy your
Yeah,
car." Like he's in the middle of shopping. Like
yeah.
all of his arrows are across the floor of his apartment still. Like
Hmm.
they are not organized. Kate's at his apartment.
Hmm.
And not only does he stop to try to buy the car from this woman, but he goes back to her place.
Yep. And they have a one night stand. Yep.
Which makes me think, like, is it a one night stand? Does he just do this in the middle of the day, like while Kate's still at his apartment?
And that was the thing. Apparently, he's with Jessica Drew at this point in time.
I know.
Which I'm like, okay, Clint. Like, and he, or it's one of those things where she says they're together, but he's like treating it
He,
as like a fling or something.
yeah, like it seems like I don't know if it's I go back and forth on this every time I read it, if he's self-sabotaging, which he
Yeah.
is self-sabotaging,
Yes.
or if like there is an element of genuine clueless, wait, you care about me?
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
it
And
reads both
that's
ways.
why I feel like there's an Avengers run I have to read where I'm like, okay, what's the context here for those two? Because I also didn't realize it was Jessica Drew at first. I was like,
Oh,
who is
really?
this? And then finally they do that issue where it's like the
Wait, you didn't notice he calls her Jess.
I didn't pick up on it though. I'm like, who is this? Because
Well, I
I
mean, they
couldn't
are all
pick.
dressed in 60s.
Because like the thing was I could clearly tell Black Widow, I could clearly tell
Yeah.
Mockingbird or Mockingjay, I forget what her official name is.
I think it's Mockingbird. I think
Mockingbird,
Mockingjay is
right?
Hunger Games.
Yeah. And then the third one he's just like, oh, and you, and I'm like, who is that? And then finally,
It's the friend girl.
yeah, and then finally it hit me. I was like, oh, okay, the yellow and red. And they
Yep.
say in the later issue of like Clint's girls or whatever, and like they showed the spider and everything. I'm like, okay, so that's Jessica Drew. Got it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, so yeah, so he hooks up with the girl, and then she gets kidnapped by the Tracksuit Mafia. He has to fight them while not clothed in the slightest. Um,
Which leads to the greatest censor bar
yes, it's
ever.
just like his old mask like
Oh my
thing.
God. I
And
will
then
say though, this is also one of the issues that led to the what was it called? The Hawkeye oh my gosh, do you remember this thing in like it was this big thing in comics where people were oh God, it was called the Hawkeye something, Hawkeye Project or something else like that. I can't remember the actual name of it. Um but it was y you'll Google the name.
yep,
Um
Hawkeye Project.
It's something like that where it
The
was
Hawkeye Initiative.
Hawkeye Initiative.
How to fix every strong female character pose in superhero comics. Replace the character with Hawkeye doing the same thing.
Yup.
This
So
was
it
a
was a
thing.
bunch of like the like ridiculous, like that really famous like MJ image where she's sitting in a way no human being could possibly sit,
Oh, I think I
and
have
people are
seen this.
redrawing all of these as Hawkeye.
I
It is
think I have
Clint in
seen one or
all
two
of
of
these
these.
ridiculous poses, and like he's a perfect character to do so. I think there also were some that were drawn as with Dick Grayson, which is another character that fits that
Yeah.
very well. But it was
Yeah.
like mostly Hawkeye and Hawkeye initiative of drawing all these ridiculous poses, including like the tiny waist, like
Hmm.
everything like that as Clint, and it was
Yeah, it was probably
incredible.
putting him into like that J. Scott Campbell style art where it's like the cover of like MJ with the coffee cup and
Yup,
everything.
that it's the one where she's
That's the
sitting with
one.
like the weird on the weird
Yeah.
couch, like, and her legs are like not functioning the way human legs should.
Yeah. Yep. So I didn't know that, but yeah, no. So they do that great censoring, and then it's the great car chase of like Clint being like, "Kate, hand me an arrow," and then she goes, "I don't know what any of these arrows are. You're telling me to grab this one. I don't know what they are." And she goes, "You were supposed to label these with the tape that you were supposed to be getting.
Yes. Oh my
What
God.
are you
And it does
doing?"
give excellent, like just to praise the art again,
Yeah.
little images of the heads of each of these arrows.
Yes.
And
And
just somebody
also,
had to go through and go, what would this look like?
yeah, and that was the thing. I'm not big on like very simplistic art, and I loved the style of this book. It was just so well put together. And like they can also get away with stuff by how like simple it is. Like there's an issue I think it was like issue 11 or 12 where like a lot of the panels are silhouettes to cover up them just not needing to draw the faces or anything. And
Yes.
I was like that probably saved them time. Um
Hey,
so
it also was real cool.
yeah. And I will say Kate so they have that awkward conversation, Kate and Clint on the phone, where he's like, I really appreciate you because also like I don't want to sleep with you. And Kate's like, okay. Like
It's the wildest thing to say to your friend. It is
like
the craziest thing.
again, I think Clint has serious like ADHD, like brain, like dug
Oh,
from up, where like he even does the thing of like, don't say something stupid. I'll be back in one sec, because
yeah.
he just slept with someone. And he goes, idiot. And he
I
says it
love
in
him
front of his
so much.
ex-wife and like Natasha and Jessica
He's like
Drew.
says it in front of the current fling, the ex-wife, whatever he and Natasha have going on
Yeah.
at any given moment in time. And he's thinking about, don't say that you slept with this girl, even though she just made out with you in front of all of the
Yeah.
women in your life, except for Kate, because Kate doesn't count.
Yeah.
Like,
And so like, but they have that whole thing. But I really liked how they have like this, close brother sister vibe going on where like at the end of that third issue, they get to the airport and you see just like the car that Clint just bought is destroyed, somehow made it to the airport. And Kate even says, she's like, dude, your car is messed up. She's just like, that's rough.
I love all the that's rough buddies that you get from her in this.
Yes.
Like, she honestly looks through and she's like, Clint, why?
Yep. What are you doing?
Like
What are you
how
doing?
the common phrase in this is "aw blank no." She
Yeah.
spends half the issues going like, "Aw, Clint, no."
Hmm. Yeah, so then the next two issues are the arc where they have to steal the tape, which again
Yes.
shows the time period because they said in the letters that this was inspired a bit after the, death of Osama bin Laden. And so
Yeah.
like Fraction was like, that was great. So and he goes, so I wanted to kind of tell a story that's like those people are heroes. So they have Clint, trying to protect the identities of the Navy SEALs who like took out a different terrorist.
Yeah.
Um, issue 6 is the Christmas issue, I believe, where
With
it's
my
so
favorite
good.
Iron Man appearance probably in any comic ever.
I also love that Tony showed up for it because
Exactly. Like
Clint
he
Clint called
came.
Clint called Tony to help him install his VCR, and Tony
Which,
showed up anyway and was like,
oh my God.
and I love how Tony's been like, dude, just let me buy you new things, and Clint's like, no, I'm gonna make it work. Let me just cut
He's
this wire.
self-destructing so
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, and
This is like
it's
the start of like the real self-destruction.
yeah, and I like how that issue was also very like Slaughterhouse 5, Catch 22 too, where like it jumps around in time, where it's like, oh yeah, why is the dish broken? Let's jump back 2 nights prior where I accidentally shot an arrow to it because I got beat up by the Tracksuit Mafia, and like it
This
just jumps
series
all
does
around.
that so well
Hmm.
in using little things like that to sequence break. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm trying to find the issue.
it was issue 6. So in the
Yeah,
trade,
it's they put 7 in front of 6, I think,
oh really?
just to get, I think it's because it's the Sandy,
Mm.
and I don't know the exact reasoning. It's like there is an issue later that actually connects back to issue 6, you'll see.
Well, they said, well, yes. So I did see that. Are we talking
The
about grills?
no, there's a Christmas special, another Christmas special.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I thought you were talking about grills because
Oh, don't even talk to
that was
about
the thing.
girls.
So yeah, no, the Christmas issue is great though. I love the jumping around time. The next issue is the Sandy issue, and they said that Marvel wanted to do an issue that shows like the impact of Hurricane Sandy and Fraction having been from New York and them knowing people from New York, they were pretty much able to like tell that story.
It
Um,
also, I think this was the right comic series to do it in.
yes.
Like this one, it's such a grounded series. Like even like when they go on like Avengers level missions and everything, it's always like he's on a rooftop barbecue and Shield agents kidnap him. Like
That
it's
was
like,
the best page. I love it so much. Where he's saying to
hold on, I need
Grills, who
to
context
tap my
of
nose.
exactly the context of Grills is that he's like a guy that lives in the building that Clint bought from the Tracksuit Mafia, so they'd leave the
Yes,
tenants alone, and they would just go up to the rooftop and hang out. And Grills is Grills because he grills food for everyone. And
exactly.
and the funny thing is, like, there's that one page where like he keeps calling Clint Hawk Guy.
Hawkeye,
Um,
like from MASH.
yeah, Hawkeye. And then he Clint's like, you should really stop saying that. Like if word gets out, my enemies could like come here and everything. I'm
Oh,
I'm really not in the Avengers. And then the Shield
Alec.
helicarrier shows up over the building. Two Shield agents jump down, put a carabiner on him with a rope, and you have Clint the whole time going, guys, guys, guys. And he just gets scooped up.
And
And
he
Kate,
loses his beer.
yeah, and Kate's just watching like, huh. Um,
I will say also with everybody being so like mostly down to earth in this one and like all the outfits being normal, suddenly having like the classic comic Shield uniforms coming in,
right? It's a little out of
it
place.
it is so jarring
Yeah.
to have like these like extra buff Shield guys in skin tight
I
suits.
I think it was even more jarring to see Captain America in full
Captain
costume.
America being there with with the scaly like
Yeah, and he looked very like Jack Kirby Captain America, like old
oh
school.
yeah.
And so yeah, so issue 7 was the Hurricane Sandy issue where Clint helps Grills, which that makes you care about Grills, which
Of
is why I was like,
course. You gotta love
well,
grills.
Grills was awesome because like they help his dad, who like they're kind of estranged, while Kate goes to Jersey and is dealing with stuff. And I love Kate is so good in this series where like she gets beat up but then helped by like people in Jersey. And she even
Yeah.
says she goes, I love Jersey because Clint was like knocking on it.
Wait,
So
does she
then
say I love Jersey or does she? Oh, Jersey rules. I
Jersey rules or something, yeah.
forgot they don't curse in comics for a second because in my
Well, they
brain Kate
kind
would.
of do. They say
Oh, this they
futs. They
they
say
say futs in
futs
this
all the
one.
time. And there is a
Is
there
futs in other comics or
I
is
don't
it a
know.
Hawkeye thing? Because
I
like
think it's
I've
a
always thought of futs. Like it was in my same brain as like how like
what
Frack is Battlestar Galactica.
what is the origin of
Oh
futs
God, what's
in
it in Star
Hawkeye?
Wars? Star Wars has a specific Kark. It's in Star Wars or Criff.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on the order of futs. Uh, I'm seeing a dictionary of American Regional English. The Yiddish does get around, as with the word nerds. Futs has undergone an internal change to make it less obviously vulgar. I don't know.
Huh, okay.
So maybe it's just like another word that can fill in for the F word. Um,
Oh my
but I
gosh.
do think there's a panel that they get away with dropping a bitch, and I'm like, that's not centered. Really?
That no, it's they there is a bit where they go slang term for female for like like derogatory term for women,
That's another thing I love.
derogatory term for male anatomy.
I love
Like
how this series is really told from like Clint's mindset and how he reads
just
things.
wait, you gotta
I
wait. You
know.
know how there's have you because you haven't gone any further than these 12.
So yeah, just to give you like the scope to like just quickly run through the rest of the issues then, and then I'll get
Yes,
back to the
sorry.
language
I'm like,
substitutes. No, you're good. So yeah,
yes, the Christmas issue.
Hawkeye 8 is where he helps Penny, the girl he slept with, because she comes back and she wants to get a safe that the Tracksuit Mafia have. And so it's in
Is
a
that an eight or is that also it does it start
it's
that does that
told
start in six?
so it's told in 8, but then it gets told from the perspectives of Black Widow, Mockingbird, Kate, and uh what's the word? Jessica Drew in Hawkeye 9 because they like repeat it kind
Okay,
of.
see, so I have that at least in the trade. Seven is Hurricane Sandy, six is the Christmas issue, eight is um no, it's seven six is Christmas issue, and that's where they start the story because that's when he's fighting with like Spider-Man and Wolverine and everyone.
Yes.
And that's when he like gets kidnapped.
Hmm.
And then eight is the one with all the with all the romance novel covers.
Yeah. So so eight's
Oh,
that
there's
one where
different.
they, they break in and steal the safe. 9 is where it tells that story from Natasha's point of view, where she finds out who
Yes,
Penny is. Mockingbird finalizes her divorce with Clint, and Jessica Drew breaks up with him and slaps him, and
twice.
twice. And I will say, Clint has the most relatable panel in that issue where Kate finally shows up and goes, "Listen, I tried to warn you and give you a heads up." And he goes, "Whatever. This day sucks. I'm going back to bed." And he just
Yep.
goes up the stairs. He does not care. So
I
then,
do. No, they do. They do. That's where they drop the bitch.
right? Yeah, okay.
Kate punches him in the face. She does a little.
I was gonna say because I know they got one in there. I was surprised nothing was censored. Um, so then Hawkeye 10 is the death of Grills.
Oh,
Or I guess it's at the end of 9, but then 10 teaches you about the assassin who kills Grills for the Tracksuit
yes, which
Mafia.
is gorgeous.
Yes.
Like
I will say
it's
the artwork was phenomenal.
the
Um,
whole comic though. It has like a very muted color scheme. They
it's
tend to
very
keep to
different
like,
from like the purple scheme that we had
and
previously.
then this one, it's oh, it's so interesting.
Yeah, that issue, I think it was 2 issues that were done by Francesco Francavilla was the guest artist.
Mm,
And then you get Hawkeye 11, which is the easiest issue to read because
it's so good.
it's the Lucky the Pizza Dog issue where it's all told from Lucky's perspective, where again, you get the speech bubbles, but it's like Lucky only understands the words of like dog commands, so he only registers like good, down, up, and this and
Yeah,
that, and
help
everything else
and
he tunes
don't
out.
are pretty
Help,
funny.
don't. Um, and then
But I love how they have the scent bubbles.
yes.
That they
So
have little scent maps of each person and what he relates to them.
hmm. Yeah, and like yeah, so like the assassin, like he senses or hears slash smells them and is like, huh, don't know what his deal is, but I smell like lipstick and face paint or whatnot. So
Yep.
then where I finished for the halfway mark, I finished with issue 12, which is all about Clint's brother,
Barney
Barton,
Barton.
Barney Barton,
Barney
and then
Barton.
and then
My
the
love.
the annual issue because after Clint like starts self-sabotaging hardcore, breaks up with Jess, gets his divorce finalized, is dealing with the Tracksuit Mafia and everything. Uh, Kate's like, I can't watch you do this, so I'm gonna go. Takes Lucky with her, so she goes to California, and in the annual issue, she runs into Madame Mask, who wants
I
revenge against Kate.
love their little dynamic.
Oh, it's awesome.
I will say though, in the beginning, like maybe this is my queer brain, but Madame Mask is flirting with Kate, and Kate's losing her mind over it, is what it seems like, right?
Kate's flirting with Madame Mask too, though, in that annual
Yeah,
issue where she's
thank
like, "You
you.
are
Which
stunning,"
is so funny because in Young Avengers, Kate's always like, I'm the straight one, and America's like, no, you're not.
and that was the thing. Because Christy, who was on talking about America, she said like, "I ship Kate and
Yeah,
um and America," and I was just kind of there like, this issue kind of hints that Kate might be,
a
bi a
lot of
bit.
issues hint at it, but Kate
Yeah,
herself is like, I'm not, guys, I'm really not. And all of her
yeah.
queer friends are like, Kate,
It'll be something
Kate.
that maybe they do like 10 years down the line. Because
It's
like
been 10 years, guys.
oh, that's true.
It's
Because
been 10 years.
they did that with Black Cat. I remember I read the mini series Black Spider-Man Black Cat, The Evil That Men Do. That came out in 2000, and in like the first issue, Felicia says she goes, I haven't been with any guys in a while, or girls for that matter. I was like, oh, I guess Black Cat's bi. And then finally in her solo run, like in 2019, they actually established like she's had girlfriends and this and that. And a lot of people were
Great.
up in arms being like, oh, really? We had to change this about Black Cat. I go, wait, hasn't this been a thing since 2000? So I have a feeling it's gonna be one of those things where like, if they do decide to pursue something with Kate, they'll do it like afterwards and be like, this was actually the starting point. You guys just didn't pay too close attention.
Yeah, which is funny because like every Young Avengers fan I've talked to be like, "Oh no, no, no. Kate's just in denial right now."
Yeah, no.
It's very Tim Drake core.
hmm But I did like the dynamic between her and Madame Mask because I hope and I'll you probably know more than me because you're like I know what comes next.
I'm
But
not saying
but
anything,
that's
even
the
though
thing.
my
I
favorite issue is coming up in the second half.
I would love to see like them just have like kind of like the best thing I can compare it to is like in Young Justice, Superboy and Icicle Jr., where like they fight each other.
Metamask is a little bit more dangerous than
I know.
Icicle Jr.
I know, but like I kind of want it to be that vibe of like they fight each other, but they also kind of have like this dynamic going on with like, all right though, it's you though. I kind of like you, but I got my job to do. I don't like you, so I gotta hate you.
The best thing
Um,
would be if it continued past this. I
yeah.
don't know.
Well,
I
Madame
don't
Mask. So
because
this is
the
helping to
next.
introduce me to Madame Mask because
Did you
right,
not watch Agent Carter?
she was an Agent Carter.
Whitney Frost,
I do not remember that
the
part of Agent
blonde
Carter.
girl.
Yeah, I know I could see the actress's face. I don't remember her wearing a mask or any of
I
the stuff
don't
with
remember
her.
if she did or not because I have not rewatched Agent Carter in so
All
long.
I remember of Agent Carter is season one, Howard's tech gets stolen. So like all of his volatile tech. One of the pieces was like an explosive vest that killed like the head of the SSR. Um, he
Hated
jumps
that
out a
episode. It
window.
was so funny. Like
Yeah.
it was so dumb.
And then
I love this show. I love this
yeah.
show so much. That was very dumb and I loved
Yeah.
it.
Um Captain Carter starts seeing the guy with the crutches who I know also shows up later in
Sousa,
Sousa, that was the name. And he also shows up later in Agents of Shield.
what?
Yeah, he was in like season 7 of Agents of Shield and
What
gets
was he
with
doing there?
they time travel in the final season. I haven't watched it, but they time travel and Sky or Daisy, I believe, gets with Sousa. Yeah, I don't
I'm sorry.
understand
It's one of
it.
the reasons why the ending of what was it? Endgame made me so sad because I was like, she has a husband. Like
Yeah.
Peggy Carter has like the love of her life still
Yeah,
there.
that's why I
Like,
feel like Agents of Shield is definitely like getting retconned of it didn't happen. Between Mockingbird, between Sousa, between Agent Carter, all that stuff. Because yeah, then all I remember from Agent Carter season 2 was that was like the Hollywood season where they're dealing with I think that's where they were dealing like some black
yeah.
hole or
Yeah,
something.
and Whitney Frost gets like infected by it or whatever. This
Yeah.
is actual comic Whitney Frost, very different woman.
hmm Yeah,
I just
and
had
that
expected like you seem like the kind of person who would have researched her after seeing her in the show.
no, so the thing that that show got canceled. It ended at season 2
I
on a cliffhanger. That
know.
that cool looking guy got shot, and that was it.
Cool
Like some
looking. That's
files,
what you're gonna call Jack? Cool looking guy?
whatever that dude was.
Chad Michael Murray is just cool looking guy to you?
I don't know his name. Agent Carter cast. I know I've seen him in other things. Yeah, Chad Michael Murray. What's the other? Oh, was he the cult leader in Riverdale?
What?
Yeah, wasn't he?
I wouldn't know that.
You didn't watch Riverdale?
No.
You didn't watch 3 seasons of very interesting television that I finally
No. I
stopped?
have friends who love it.
Um,
They love it in the same way they love Glee, though.
yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he was.
Sorry, everybody who came here to listen to us talk about comics and we talk about
We're
Glee.
we're getting there, I promise. This is honestly probably the most chaotic episode so far.
I'm
Um,
sorry, anytime the two of us get together, it does become chaotic.
Um, yeah, no, he was the cult leader, Edgar Evernever in season 3 and 4 of
That's a
Riverdale.
name.
His character meets their end in season 4, trying to blast off in a homemade rocket and gets killed by like Betty's mom or something, from what I
I love
remember.
it.
Yeah, you know what? You might enjoy Riverdale. It became just too all over the place for me and too wackadoo.
See, all I
Um,
knew was that my theater students were getting all excited about them doing like Carrie.
oh God. Yeah, no, the musical
Carrie's
episodes
a good
were
musical.
no, but the musical episodes were very like okay. Um,
Also, that I'm pretty sure Joey Iconis wrote a song for it, and I had no idea.
yeah. No, but getting back to Madame Mask, she is currently in the brand new Venom run, all new Venom, and she is
Ooh.
one of the suspects of who the new host for the Venom symbiote could be. Um,
Ooh,
it's
that would
it's it, the
tie into
suspects
Agent Carter.
the suspects are Madame Mask, Luke Cage, Rick Jones, and
Really?
Robbie Robertson. I know it's a
Where
very
are these coming from?
it's a very weird mix of characters, but that's why I'm like, oh, so that's who Madame Mask is. I'm learning a bit more here.
Great.
Um,
She
I
has a
will.
weird frenemy wanna kill her, wants to like house her for the week.
Yeah,
Kate
yeah.
Bishop.
Yeah, so they do that. But yeah, no. So this Hawkeye run is so fun, so good. So my next question in the sequence is, what did you think about the book series we read as a whole, at least the first half?
Um, I think that the first half's very much a setup.
Mm-hmm.
That like it very much set up his like downfall. Like
Mm.
that it shows you like where Clint's life is, and Clint's life is not great. I will say, like, and it seems to be due to like a depression kind of thing. Like he's clearly not in the right headspace
Yeah,
because like there are comments about like he has people he can call to help him. There are people who care about him. He has friends.
he's just
Like
not.
he called Tony and Tony showed up just to help him untangle his cables.
Yep.
Like he has like full conversations with like Wolverine and Spider-Man in this. Like
Mm-hmm.
and yet he's dealing with all of this alone and the only person he's calling is Kate.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's such an interesting thing that everything else in the Marvel universe is happening right now. And Clint's like, actually, I'm going to put all of my energy and focus into this one apartment building in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's
Like
why I feel like I
it's
have to read the Avengers run, whatever was going on at this time, because it is very much just like, oh yeah, I'm with Jessica Drew, maybe I'm not with Jessica Drew. Um,
like
I'm
so much
on the
has to be
Avengers, but
happening.
I'm just gonna stay on the rooftop
Though
and
the running gag of everyone saying, "Oh, are you Iron Fist?"
yes, that's another
is
good one.
incredible.
And I like when it comes up the second time. I believe the second time it comes up is when he gets arrested by the cops for
Yes.
breaking into the
Oh
club.
my
And
God.
he goes, why does everybody keep saying that?
Like,
Why?
why Iron Fist?
Yeah. Is it the
He's wearing
blonde
a hat.
hair?
He's wearing a hat that has the H on it, which is like the
Yeah.
best part. Like
Hmm.
he goes to break into a building wearing a
With
hat
his logo
with
on it, basically.
the logo.
Yeah.
Oh my God. This is actually my first cosplay was this series.
Well, I mean, yeah, honestly, like it's a real simple cosplay to do this version of Hawkeye. You just need the purple t-shirt, the purple Converse, and like the three-button long sleeve shirt over it, and then
Oh
jeans, you're
yeah.
good.
No,
It's
yeah. That's his outfit for most of it.
yeah, and I will say, it's just like now I see where the Hawkeye show pulled so much inspiration from,
Mm-hmm.
and I could see your side of things being like uh the MCU Hawkeye is great, but he's not the Hawkeye I love type deal.
Yes.
Because that's very much like my opinion of like Tom Hardy Venom is like
Yeah,
he's a
he's a very
fun
different
he's a
character.
fun Venom, but he's not that Venom that I've read where I really like the more darker, he's dealing with things like I love the Donny Cates Ryan Stegman run where he's like dealing with how to be a father and this and that, fighting Null and all of these things. And then the movies is just kind of like, we are drunk. We want margaritas. And it's like, all right.
But they're so fun.
They're fun. I will say I did not like this most recent one. I don't know if you saw it.
I have not. I was warned.
There was no plot. There was no plot.
Oh,
It was just can I spoil the ending for you? And
do it.
spoilers for the listener. The ending is literally like a TikTok montage of Tom Hardy walking through New York to Maroon 5's Memories.
I was
Um
so expecting you to say misery.
no, and they just show like scenes of Eddie and Venom from throughout the Venom movies as Tom Hardy's just walking to the Statue of Liberty. Just you hear in the background, "Cheers to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish." It's it's really bad.
Okay.
So what else
It's
did you think about Hawkeye?
I like the Interesting way they tell stories in this.
Define interesting.
So that there is the lucky issue.
Yes.
There is an issue from the perspective of the dog.
Which again is where I feel like the Tom Taylor, Bruno Redondo Nightwing had to have drawn inspiration from this because
Oh,
like they'll do the issue
100%.
where it's like one continuous image. They'll do the issue where it's all from Dick's first person point of view. And so
Which is
like
such a good
yeah.
one.
And like that this issue the issue with Lucky felt the most creative and like, oh, this was to do something fun and different.
I will say even that, like when you look at the Christmas issue, which also is like plot relevant, it's not just
Yeah.
Christmas. That like they break everything up into like boxes. Like the whole not they break comic books up into boxes. No, they
Did you
break
know
them up
that?
into these
Did you know
very
that there's
specific.
panels on the pages of comic books? I didn't know that. I was blown away when I first read
Oh
this
my
book. I was
God.
like, wow, this book
There
has
is a
artwork.
grid they make in this book where they have like these like smallest specific units and they will break up one image into like thinking about cutting the wires and everything. It
Yeah.
will be just the wires of like Tony's eye, like Clint's hand.
Yeah, to
Like
make
and
you
they
think it's a
carry that
bomb.
but they carry that through the entire issue
They
where
repeat the
like
thing with the clock
he's
to
they
show the
complete the thing with the
time.
clock to show the time and the date because date and time are very important because Clint gets that deadline
Hmm.
of, hey, back out in X amount of time or we're
You
killing
gotta go,
everybody in that
bro.
apartment building.
You gotta go, bro. Seriously, bro. We gonna be bad for you, bro.
Hmm. And this is also where they go back and forth in time, like of it's the 17th, the cable dish is broken. On the 14th, how did it break?
Hmm.
Like, and also like there's one shot that I absolutely love, which is just him opening a knife.
Yes.
And it's like three panels just dedicated to the knife.
Yeah, to the butterfly knife to be like, ah, here we go. Opening the box.
Oh yeah, and it's just does this one have my I think my favorite panel in this series is in this one. And it is Clint in the snow standing in front of the apartment building
With the bow and arrow.
with the bow and arrow. It's just it's such a clean image and like that's what the entire series is about.
Yeah, no, I put that on my story because as I'm reading, I'm just like posting like the cool art and everything.
It's
And
very cool art.
let's see, where is it? Because I like splash pages. I'm a sucker for splash pages. Who isn't? Like the opening page of this book is also great. The him out the building, everything.
That was my phone background
Yeah, that one's good.
for
Oh, I
years.
love Kate teasing Clint after for favorite pages. Teasing Clint as
Oh my
after the one
God.
night or I guess middle of the day
She's
stand.
like, "All right, with your abs out?"
Yeah. And
Like,
that issue was also so issue three was so great because he goes, I've had nine bad ideas today, and it breaks down what all nine of them are. And it's just like this was bad idea number four. Um,
yeah.
it's so good. I also love Kate. So I know Kate gets a Thunderbird at some point, but I love how she has a purple buggy where the
I
license
love her
plate
little
is
bug.
KA73. So her license plate is literally Kate.
Yep.
Um, the
Listen,
boomerang
she
arrow.
is still a little rich bitch, and I love it so much for her.
Here's the page you were talking about. Him in the snow.
I love that image
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah, he's standing his ground because Kate gives him the
Beautiful.
whole spiel of like, this is what you do. You just run away. You're not gonna do. And so he's like, all right, I'm standing my ground. I'm gonna protect these people. And he couldn't protect Grills. I was so sad about Grills. And the funny thing is, if that Hurricane Sandy issue did not exist, it would have been like, oh, I guess Grills got killed. But I actually cared about Grills because of that whole Hurricane Sandy issue.
Yup.
And I was just there like,
He's got a dad.
my jaw dropped. I went, oh, no, they killed Grills.
It was so is Grills in the Hawkeye show?
I don't know. I didn't go back and watch the Hawkeye show
I
before
gotta again.
recording this, but all I remember of the Hawkeye show is,
Grills Hawkeye actor.
oh, so he is.
Yes, he's one of the cops who is in the LARP group, is supposed to be Grills.
Okay.
Yes, Grills is in it. I'm pretty
Yes.
sure as of recording, Grills is still alive in Hawkeye.
So I just knew this guy as the LARP guy who's like,
Yeah.
I'll give you the Ronin suit, but can you let me like beat you in front of all my friends?
This
Because
is
that'd be
why
cool.
everyone was like, "Oh my God, it's Grills!" Like when that came out.
Yeah, no, all I remember of the Hawkeye show is the car chase, the Tracksuit Mafia, the auction where Kate gets the suit. Um, you reveal that Hawkeye Clint was responsible for killing Echo's dad. Echo's in it. Kingpin
Yeah.
shows up with one of the weirdest ways to reveal that they brought Kingpin back, where it's just him as a blurry image on a phone, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's the Kingpin," and then he doesn't show up for the next
Love
episode
it.
until the next episode. Um,
Love it.
and then Yelena shows up to kill Clint, and then they have the big final bat. Oh, who can forget the Kate Bishop? I made you mac and cheese and the macaroni.
Listen,
I
if they
don't
want to
have
go
any.
that way,
I don't have any weapons on me. Well, technically, that's not true. I don't have any weapons currently in my hands. Um, and then what was it?
Yelena and Kate Bishop was not.
Oh, it was a great dynamic.
I was not expecting that. Like it came out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh no, that tracks.
Yeah, and I will say, so I don't know if you saw recently they did a whatever new expansion they've had for like I guess the Disney Cruise Line or the Avengers Land. They
I don't
did
know
it.
much about that.
Well, they did. There's like a clip or something during like one thing where they filmed America Chavez, Ironheart, and Cassie Lang together at a table. Like they just like hung out together, and they're like, "Man, we should really do this more often or something." And we get that other tease at the end of what is it? The Marvels with Miss Marvel and Kate Bishop. So it's like, can you just do the Young Avengers already? Just do it.
And have
We
you
got
watched
a
Agatha?
really we got I did watch Agatha, and I will say Billy was the best part of that show. So
Got
I
my boys.
I saw the first episode of Agatha, and I went, wow, this is garbage. I hated it. I was like, this is horrible. I go, what is this bad cop drama? I'm like, is each episode gonna have a
Oh,
weird theme? And then like I know they did the 2 episode premiere, and
did you not watch the second?
I no, I did. I went back to like 2 or 3 nights later because I'm addicted. I have to watch every Marvel, Star Wars, DC thing ever, whether I like it or not. And so then I watched episode 2. I went, oh, that was much better. And then the show, I loved the show. It was its own thing, and I appreciated that. And then so that's my opinion of the show. I think it's great. I don't care for the first episode, and I don't care for the back half of the finale because I thought all the stuff with Agatha as a ghost just annoyed me. I was like, this is dumb. Why are we doing this? Um,
For the emotion.
Billy was the best in that show, though. He was
And the
phenomenal.
casting was
The
amazing.
casting was amazing. The suit was awesome. Um, I was really happy, like and so that's again, just give us the Young Avengers. It's gonna happen at some point, I'm sure.
Please.
But
I do love though,
I'd rather it be a
that
movie than a show,
oh same.
personally.
Were
Yeah.
you on TikTok when Agatha was happening?
I was,
People
but
were so confused. What's with this random kid's bar mitzvah? I'm like, oh, sweetie.
meanwhile, I feel like anybody on social media who knew Marvel at all, as soon as this guy got cast and they saw his hair, they went, that's probably gonna be Billy. And then I remember Marvel posting it being like, the secret's out, he's Billy when like the crown gets revealed. And everybody who I have saw on social media who knew anything about comics was like, yeah, we figured like 2 years ago when he got cast.
Listen, let's the TV show only people get can live their lives.
hmm So now
Billy's not actually a very well-known character outside of comic
I
circles.
I
Like
guess.
even with the WandaVision, like I still was like, "Oh my God, Billy and Tommy are like two of my favorite characters." And people are like, "Why?" I'm like,
Have you seen like that rumor or like fan theory that like instead of doing Hulkling and Wiccan, they're gonna do Hulk's son and Wiccan? The guy with the really bad haircut showing up at the end of She-Hulk.
I never watched She-Hulk.
Oh, okay.
I
Um,
have to,
did
but
you dislike She-Hulk or what you heard of She-Hulk?
no, it genuinely is just that I was busy.
Well, that's my
There's a
segue into
lot.
the next question.
Oh, of course.
So normally a question I ask is, what did you especially like about the book? We've talked a lot about likes. Is there anything you disliked about the first half of the book?
Um, I'm trying to think because like this is something that is so near and dear to my heart that like it's And I don't even like I can't even explain to you why, but this is the first comic series I owned in full. It is the first comic series that I read in full. Um, I will say it doesn't have much of a plot for the beginning. Like it is very much building little pieces that will eventually coalesce into the plot.
It
So it
it feels very cartoony in the sense of like standalone episodes.
it is standalone episodes, but then you are expected to remember what is happening in the previous ones. Like
Yeah.
Penny comes back and this random redhead girl that like does not matter
Yeah, it's
comes
very
back.
honestly the best thing I could compare it to is like Young Justice, where like there are a lot of one-off
Yeah.
episodes, but then those characters come back to tie things together.
Yeah. So like it's not like a huge criticism,
Hmm.
but it is part of it. Another thing is I don't like the tape story very much.
Really?
I think it's interesting. I think it is a very good product of its time, and I like the with Kate surrounding it, but it also seems like Clint has a dark past. Like that is
Hmm.
established like in comics. Like he hasn't always been the best guy.
Hmm.
And same thing with his brother. Like neither one of them are like perfect. They're not moral do-gooders like Captain America, as he says.
Yeah. Yeah,
He
he
says
says
Captain
like I
America's not here right now.
he's like I have a record. Like I'm not the best here.
He's not,
But
he does bad things in this issue. And so
mhm.
they make this thing which like they're arguably trying to say like is a good thing. Like don't get, I'm not criticizing real life politics right now. Like don't like we're not getting into
Do
it
you
was
want to talk
killing
about what's
Osama bin
happening this
Laden a good
January?
thing. Let's not. Shut up. I'm not going to talk about whether or not it was a good thing to kill Osama bin Laden. Like I think records goes to show what that did for the world. But thinking about it though, and like Kate watches this video, which is apparently a staged video of Clint killing this
Yeah, and
man,
apparently they made two others, one with Cap, one with Wolverine.
which I would pay money to see the Wolverine one.
Yeah.
Um, but Clint has killed people. Like
Yeah.
he has. And
Hmm.
so Kate's like, "Have you ever killed somebody?" And Clint's like, not answering that question.
Hmm.
As if like Ronin didn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, so she's watching this video of Clint like killing these people and she's like, "Oh my God, Clint killed somebody." And it's like, "Yeah, no shit."
Hmm.
Like it feels and then at the end saying like, "Oh no, 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 he didn't. He's just trying to protect these people." It feels like such a cop out of her seeing him do something bad
Mm.
for a greater good. Like I think the story has merit in what it was trying to do. I don't know how I feel about it as a piece of Clint and Kate's relationship, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, my only dislike because I don't have anything really story-wise, so it's interesting to hear you be like, yeah, the tape was kind of like meh. And that
I've read this series so
very,
many times. It's
very
not my
valid
favorite to reread
reason
either.
looking that deep. The only thing that bothered me a little bit is like, especially when we get into like Jessica Drew and all this stuff, I wish there was more editorial notes in some places to be like, go back to this if you want to see what
This
we're
one
talking
doesn't really,
about here.
do these single issues have any of those like
They
notes?
had one. They did like they had a note that was kind of like a recap type thing. That's like this happened in issue 3 and then this happened in issue whatever. It was something involving Kate, but there's really not a lot of like as you saw
Yeah.
in Avengers blah 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 blah. Like I
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen that in like the conversation where like Jessica's slapping Clint and getting all upset with him as like, I thought we were a thing, as we saw in Avengers, blah blah blah. Like,
I love that you don't want it for like major like you want it for the personal character beats. You're like, no, I
yeah,
want to
I
know your relationship.
well the thing is I like and especially this is a thing that like I would do is if I don't know something, I'm gonna go back to an issue that's mentioned and be like, okay, what's the context here?
Yeah.
Maybe I won't read the whole issue, but I just want to see like, okay, what did I miss here? Like what's going on? So sometimes I'll do that because as we know, comics, a lot happens. It's sometimes tough to keep track of everything. That's why I'm behind on a good number of modern comics because I fell off while reading 200 issues of The Walking Dead. Um,
Of
so
course you did.
yeah. So hey, we got Lucille Bat behind me. We have Rick Grimes. So
So
love The
remember what
Walking
I
Dead.
told you in high school about Walking Dead?
No, I don't.
I told you that I wouldn't watch the show until they killed the kid. I don't know why.
Who, Carl?
Yeah, I
You
just
wanted
it
Carl
annoyed
to
me.
die?
It just annoyed
Damn.
me.
Well, the
It wasn't
show,
even like I figured it was based on comics that it wasn't
no,
like
it's not.
it's not.
In the
Comics are
com
based on
in the
that?
comics, Carl never dies.
No, I figured the show was based on comics.
Yeah,
Death isn't
but they
permanent.
don't
Like I
follow that.
honestly that was my thought. Like, oh, death's not permanent. Like,
Oh no, death is permanent in The Walking Dead, but like,
oh, okay. Sorry.
yeah, no,
Again, I'm
nobody really dies and comes back in The Walking Dead unless it's a zombie. Um, but yeah, no, The Walking Dead comics are phenomenal. The show, I watched it after reading all the comics and went, this isn't good.
oh.
It doesn't adapt the comics well. Um,
Oh, it's always
I,
sad when it happens
I'd
like that.
I'd be curious to see the comics get like the Invincible treatment if they do like an animation to be it more true to form, but I don't think it's ever gonna happen. If anything, I would love to see the Sandman Audible style adaptation for the Walking Dead comics because like that's so good. I would love to see something like that for the Walking Dead. Um, but yeah, so getting back to Hawkeye, who wound up being your favorite character? I'm guessing Clint.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been.
For me, it was
There was
Kate.
something about okay, no, Kate's amazing. Kate is
Yeah.
absolutely amazing, don't get me wrong. But there is something about the like undiagnosed, unmedicated ADHD, life sort of falling apart, doesn't know what's going on, that like me in high school really grabbed onto. Like, honestly, not the best role model
Well,
for somebody in high school, but like there was something about like just the absolute dumpster fire that reading that made me feel like my life's not that bad.
there is actually a mystery of something that I need you to answer for me now, because I remember you telling me how much you loved Hawkeye in high school. And one of the things you told me, and I've since then, every once in a while, like
What did I
one,
say?
I'm about to tell you, like maybe every other year, I'll be like, where is that from? You told me that Hawkeye and Daredevil would have this thing where Hawkeye throws things
No,
at
I didn't.
Daredevil.
That
Yes,
was
you
a
did.
fan fiction.
It
That was a
was.
fucking fan fiction. I
I've
told
been
you that was in a fan fiction.
I have been looking for that in
Are you
comics
serious?
since then.
Fan fiction.
Because you told me that you're like, yeah, there was a moment where Hawkeye throws something at Daredevil in front of Foggy. Oh, you muted.
No, I got too high pitched and my mic cut out. No, that I was telling you about a fanfic I was reading.
Well, I seriously was like, when
You
does this
fully
happen in
believe that was in a
comics?
comic book. Oh my God.
I'd look it up every once in a while and be like, when does this happen?
It
Because like
doesn't. No, if you
the
want to see a good dynamic though, look up Clint and Bucky.
oh my God, the
That's a fun,
the
fun
the mystery is finally
combination.
solved for me though.
Yeah, sure. Leave it in your podcast that no, yes, I do read Hawkeye fan fiction,
You're
and the
welcome.
fics with him and Daredevil were just quite fun
Yeah.
because of the fact that they were two heroes with known disabilities. People really were like,
Yeah, is
also
they
they were
don't
two like, oh, okay.
speaking of that, is Clint deaf in this series?
So, you got to keep reading.
Oh, okay, it'll come into play later.
It will come into play in probably my favorite issue in the entire
Okay.
series. It is
Because that was a thought I had to go,
beautiful.
they don't really have him in like hearing aids or anything in this one.
No, they don't. And there's
Yeah,
a
okay.
reason for that, and it's really interesting. And this was the series which made me know that he was deaf.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to think if that was when did that become a thing, him being deaf?
Maybe it was this series if
It
something's gonna
did.
happen later.
When did Hawkeye become deaf?
I mean, the
Oh,
MC
no. Wait, no, that is okay, so it is known in the
he was actually first deafened as a child. It is explained in Fractions Hawkeye. So it'll get
that is
explained at some
in the
point.
most recent one. So okay, apparently 1983 Hawkeye's miniseries
Yeah,
that he
because
puts the sonic arrow in his mouth.
mm, yeah, no, because there was a moment in the flashback with Clint and his brother where he has like his ears bandaged up, and I was like,
Yep.
oh, was this the origin of? But
Yeah.
they don't really talk about it
They don't
much.
talk about it yet. They'll talk about it later, but yeah, I mean, you see how his dad was and everything. It
Yeah.
it doesn't
Hmm.
yeah, it doesn't go well for him as a kid. I mean, doesn't go well for him and Barney as a kid. Like, spoiler alert, their childhood sucked
Well, I saw the flashback issue with
with
Barney,
Barney.
and they're like, Your parents
which
died in a car crash, and then you have Clint. Good.
for all comic lovers who Barney is a good guy in this one.
Yeah, it makes him sound like he's been a villain in
Oh,
other books.
he's been a terrible villain before. He
Oh,
has been a
okay.
villain.
Because like the other thing is like they
I mean, he
start.
was he was a villain and then he was like an FBI agent, so he was undercover as a villain, but Clint didn't know he was undercover as
They
a
say
villain,
in like
so
the bio, yeah.
yeah.
Um, but
That
yeah,
was
so
interesting. Is he trick shot?
I think so. I think that was his name.
He's trick shot.
So then, what was your favorite moment or piece of dialogue in this series, or at least the first half?
Oh God, piece of dialogue. That's a hard one
I
because
mean, getting
there's
into what we were
so
saying,
much.
those fill-ins of the like in the first issue where he's like, dude says something, it's like, you better get out of here, bro. And then it just says in parentheses, something Russian,
Oh my
maybe.
God. Russian, maybe Italian? I love when he's doing it for
He's
the hypnotist and
unsure.
he's like, or when he's like listening to the hypnotist and he's like, that's not how it's said. That's wrong.
Hmm.
That's so wrong. Like it's the whole
Yep.
thing. Um, I don't know. Like I'm trying to think about like what the favorite one is. I will say, don't take my dog. We're not dating. You're not allowed to do that. It's pretty funny.
Hmm.
When Kate goes to take his dog and he's like, wait, no, 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 you're not my girlfriend. You can't take my dog.
But Lucky
Just
goes willingly. She's like, come
yeah,
on,
she just
Lucky.
goes, Lucky, come, and Lucky just goes, okay, and just goes because he's lucky.
And in my head, I was also like, listen, if Clint's life is falling apart, would he remember to feed Lucky? Like, I think Kate's
Okay,
gonna take better care of him.
neither one of them are responsible enough for an animal. We need to establish that. Lucky's called Pizza Dog. You should not be giving a dog pizza.
There's a
Like that should
great,
not be a
there's a
dog's main diet.
in Death of Doctor Strange, the first issue, there's a great moment where Doctor Strange's ghost dog, Bats, is taking Doctor Strange for a walk, and he's like, Doctor Strange, I want to make sure you're staying healthy because I want you to be around for a while. And then Doctor Strange goes, why can't you be more like Hawkeye's dog or whatever? And Bats, I believe, says he goes, listen, with the way that Hawkeye feeds his dog pizza, Lucky will be a ghost with me soon enough.
Perfection.
Yeah.
Um, I will have to say though, I think probably favorite might be actually the introduction. That the introduction of Hawkeye.
This looks bad where he's like
It's
getting beaten
it's
up. He's in like a body cast for like six
it is the
weeks or
this
something.
looks bad. It is the you cowboy around with the Avengers. Guys got what? Magic armor, magic superpowers, super strength, shrink dust, glow rays, magic healing factors. I'm an orphan race carny with a stick and a string for the Paleolithic era.
Hmm.
Paleolithic, I looked it up.
Yeah.
Is
He's
so
so
funny
good.
to me. Like it's just that original thing. And then of course I love Captain America isn't here. Um is so good. I'm trying to think. Again, the tape is a thing that exists. Sorry, I mean it's not bad. It's not a bad issue. I will fully say that. It's just it's not
Hmm.
one of my favorite things.
I think one of my favorite moments is when, because also it's not explained what is going on, but I guess it's implied that Clint is playing some type of card guessing game with
Yeah, have you never
Natasha.
played? So yeah, it's they have cards on their heads. And like I think it's one of the one I'm wondering if it's one of the ones we need to guess what your card is.
I'm guessing.
I'm
Um,
pretty sure.
yeah,
Because they
so
all have the
like
60 hair updos that have like the cards resting in them, which is great.
yeah, and so like so I guess Clint's just playing a game with Natasha, his ex-wife, and his current fling, I guess. And then
I love his life.
Penny shows up, kisses him in front of all of them, and my favorite piece of dialogue is probably him being like, "This looks bad. In my head, this looks bad. It's probably looks bad, right?" And then you have all their reactions of like Natasha being like, "Interesting, Mockingbird, huh?" And then you just have Jessica Drew being like, "Clint?" And
Like
there's a moment she goes, Clint?" And for a second I'm like, was that her stumbling on her words, or was that her about to say something not so nice about whoever he just made out with?
honestly, she'd probably be directing it at him.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that was probably my favorite because then they retell that in the next issue from the
The girl's
Natasha
point of
Mockingbird's their point of
view.
view. So, and I also love how Kate tries to like bail Hawkeye out of like basically cheating on Jessica
She's
Drew.
such a bro.
Yeah, and she's just like, "Listen, I tried. Sorry, Clint. Time to pay the piper." Because she sees that Jessica gets in before her. Um, so yeah, I think that's what I would give it to. But there are so many great moments in this book. It's such a unique feeling book, and I'm really glad that, you finally were the catalyst for me to read it.
Finally convinced you to read
Yeah.
it.
Because this is like a book though that a lot of comic fans say they're like, this is the best, one of the best runs you got to read, Fraction and Aegis Hawkeye.
No,
And
it makes me want
now
to
I'm
read
like,
more
okay.
Fraction, which I haven't done. I need to pick up his Jimmy Olsen run.
Apparently his Iron Man run is also phenomenal.
Ooh. I
So
haven't read much Iron Man.
that's what
I'm
I've
not a
heard.
big Iron Man.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from Hunter and Tyler is that, well, because they do another podcast, A Hero Story, and they've talked about it, and they're like, his Iron Man is like even better than his Hawkeye if you read it. And I'm like, okay, that might
Seeing
be
how he
something.
writes Tony, I'm
Oh my God, it's so fun. That issue's so good. Just
it's just
he called Iron Man, who makes billion-dollar suits, to help with his VCR, and Tony showed up.
also it's 2012 and he has a VCR.
Well, that's another great part later with the when Kate's trying to warn him about, Jessica coming over and everything, and she hears the answering machine and goes, "Who still has an answering machine?"
Or when she goes, "You have a corded phone. Your phone is corded to the wall."
And then yeah, because he called her
Oh
after
my God.
Penny got kidnapped after the middle of the day stand,
Yup.
and she goes, "Hey, idiot," and he goes, "How did you even know it was me?" And she goes, "Because who else would be calling you?"
That's so true though.
So good. What would you rate the book out of 10?
Oh, solid 8.
Solid 8? What
Solid
makes
8.
it an 8?
Um, it's not perfect. I'm well aware it's not perfect. There are elements that aren't incredible. Um, this is one story where actually I think that the change in art style sometimes really aids it and sometimes really doesn't.
Mm,
That like with the guest artists, like sometimes like changing it up is like the best thing that they could do for it, and sometimes like they're trying to continue like the Aja or Aja
Aja, I think it's Aja.
Aja style, and it
Yeah.
doesn't.
I will say when they switched to Francavilla for issues like I think 9 and 10 or 10 and 12, I forget. It really has like an upgraded feel to it because it loses that simplicity because the coloring gets a big upgrade. And I was like,
Yeah,
okay, this feels different. I know Daredevil. Did you read Zdarsky's Daredevil?
I haven't yet.
It's
No.
phenomenal. It's very good for the first 25 issues, but they're in those first 25 issues, you get Marco Cicchetto's art, which is breathtaking, and then they do switch to an art style that is very much simplistic, like David Aja. So you get like hyper detailed to like hyper simple, and I just remember being like, "Oh, this is a very big tone change because of the style of the art."
Yeah.
I think I'd give it a 8, 9.
See,
Because I'm not
I'm the
done
kind of
with it
person that
though.
I can't say like full series, probably 10 out of 10 for me.
Mm,
Like, but the first half, 8.
it's set up.
It's set up, and then again, my absolute like it is an issue that sticks with me to this day is how they I almost said animate, how they illustrate. I
Hmm.
know my words. Um, one of the issues in the back half.
Gotcha.
And Kate's story in LA is great. I mean, Kate living her life and not calling any of her friends.
Yeah, she's like, I don't need to call any of the Young Avengers. I could figure this out by myself, even though I'm getting kidnapped and possibly drugged by Madame
She like
Mask.
I do love her like execute perfect sip.
hmm
Fill into plant. Plant
I
shrivels
I
and dies.
liked
What?
I liked her little Avatar, the Last Airbender style, like facial reactions in each of her thought bubbles, where it's
Her
like,
little like baby
call
like
call your friends, get out of here.
have you ever oh my God. Have you ever watched Lizzie McGuire?
No, I've heard of it though.
It's very much like little Lizzie McGuire in her head.
Okay.
Like this little like cute little cutesy little animated version of her being like, "No.
Was Lizzie McGuire Disney, Nickelodeon?
Yes. Disney
But like old school Disney, like Hannah Montana era, right?
earlier than Hannah
Even
Montana
earlier?
era. This is That's a Raven era."
Gotcha. So you got any other thoughts on the book then? Any closing
Um,
thoughts or things I
Still
should look
holds
out
up.
for in the back half when we reunite for part two?
My overwhelming love of Barney Barton.
Is he more of a mess up than Clint?
No.
Oh, okay. He's more put together.
He's, which it's not a high bar to clear.
Yeah, no.
Like
I
Barney's
love
life, Barney is begging for money.
yes. And he's willing to let himself get punched in the face for $5.
It
Um
was so great.
and
He's like,
and
deck me, please.
I love how Clint is like bandaged up on his face in like every issue. He's just like really just
He is a
taking life.
normal guy with no healing factor
Yeah.
and no armor
Hmm.
fighting supervillains. And random mobsters just show up at his apartment building.
Yeah, I love how there's a line. I think it's either said by Penny. I think it's said by Penny, where she's like, I think she says it to Natasha, and she goes, "You don't know what he gets up to when he's not with the Avengers." And it's like, yeah, he's fighting mobsters. He's falling off roofs.
Why?
He's just,
He falls off of roofs.
yeah,
What are you doing? Get out of the trash can.
yeah. I mean, and Lucky takes after Clint. Lucky goes over a roof in his own
The fact
issue.
that that wasn't a bigger injury, like
Yeah,
Lucky just walks back up the
yeah.
stairs.
It's just fine.
Which also, the old lady having tea with the assassin?
Yeah, so hold on. I don't want to know spoilers.
I don't remember this. This is what I mean.
I was gonna say, like, for a second I went, oh, is she like a mole or like associate of the Tracksuit Mafia? Because she has like an Uzi necklace or whatever when she's serving
Yeah,
them tea. And I'm
I
like,
don't remember this bit.
I guess that will come up in the back half, maybe, of like she's been
Probably.
feeding the tracksuits information or something.
Which also,
But
it's so funny that she has like the little puppy that like Lucky's like training under him.
yeah,
It's like Lucky gets a sidekick.
yeah. And I like how the sidekick is also more aware than Lucky is in stuff of being like,
It's
Shh.
Clint and Kate.
Exactly, yeah. And it's just like, that's a really good point. That is Clinton Kate.
It's Clint and Kate, but dogs.
Because the dog is like, somebody's breaking it, climbing up the fire escape. And then you just have, what's his face? Lucky being like, why are you biting me? Oh, I see. We gotta get up
It's
to the
so
roof.
great. Oh
Ugh,
my God.
it's a fun book. It's such a good book.
It's
I'm
so great,
excited to
especially with
finish
dog
the
cops
last 10
being such a big
issues.
thing.
Oh my God. Well, it was funny hearing that Wolverine watches TV
Yeah.
where he's talking to Spider-Man. He's like, "Oh my God, did you catch Dog Cops last night?"
Spider-Man's like, dog cops, everybody's moving on to something else.
Yeah,
Like,
and
but you're
Clint's
like
like,
a
"Everybody,
hundred years
shut up!
old.
I haven't watched it yet. I need it on a, my DVR." He gets a DVR from Grills, and Grills is like, "Yeah, all the episodes are on there. You just gotta set it up." And like, this is 2011. Like, Netflix existed by this point, right?
Netflix was DVDs.
Still in 2011?
I think so.
Because
I don't think
Daredevil
streaming.
Daredevil started streaming in 2015. I
Don't
know
say that
that.
to me.
Daredevil's 2015 streaming 9 years ago.
Netflix became. Maybe this was back when Hulu was free. But do you really think that Clint has a smart TV?
Netflix introduced streaming services that allowed subscribers to access content directly in 2007. In
Wow,
2010, Netflix had more than 20 million subscribers.
that's interesting.
Hmm.
When was Stranger Things then?
Ew, I'll look it up. Things
Sorry,
season.
audience. We're just
And we're wrapping up. It's fine. Stranger Things season 1 was
2016.
2016,
Yeah.
and it's not ending till this year, finally.
Free tidbit about my opinion on stuff. If they kill Steve Harrington, I will riot.
Yeah.
He has been my
Hey,
favorite since
they
season one.
they were setting it up a bit where he's like planning ahead for the future and he's really thinking
Don't
about where he's
say
gonna
this.
go.
The thing
And
is, I
that's
have no idea where he'd go after, and I
that
want an answer.
that's how Glenn got. Glenn in issue 92 of Walking Dead's like, Maggie, we can live at the hilltop. We can start a family. It's like so safe. We'll
Okay,
be
but
great.
tell
And then
me what Steve
eight
Harrington's plan is.
I don't know. But
He
then
doesn't
eight
have one. There's
but
no planning for the future.
But then 8 issues later, Negan shows up, and but Steve Harrington, he does say to what's her face,
Yeah, he says to his ex-girlfriend
yeah, he's like, I always imagined us with like a house and kids and
when
this
they're
and
talking
that.
about the end of their relationship.
Yeah, they start doing like a weird thing where she might still be into him by the end of season 4 though too, which was kind of
I don't
weird.
know. Don't get me wrong, I love Stranger Things. I don't like Jonathan. I still don't like Jonathan. He's a
Yeah,
great character and everything. I do not forgive him still for never apologizing for taking pictures of her naked.
it's a very good
Sorry,
point.
but that is a sticking point for me. I'm sorry, I don't trust somebody who would do that.
That is a very good point.
Like,
I
I'm
forgot
sorry.
I forgot all about that in season one.
And like everybody hated Steve for breaking his camera, and I'm like, I would have too.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah. And then Steve does season one I honestly kind of suppress, I think, because that's
I
like where
loved it.
Steve does the spray painting on the theater
Which
sign and
was
everything.
shitty and
Yeah.
everything. I've seen teenagers do worse stupid things and still come back from it. I still
Mm.
loved him in that show in that season. Like I liked that he was like trying to figure things out and was failing at it.
Hmm.
And like in the end he's like, "All right, you know what? I'm in 100% with everything." Like
Mm.
and season 2 came along and everyone else was like, "Oh my God, I love Steve Harrington." I'm like, "Yes, get on my level." Now if only I can get everybody to love Hawkeye too.
I was gonna say to segue into the closing here, do you want Hawkeye to get a season two? Or you're good with it being a limited series?
I don't know. I don't know if I trust the season 2. I
Mm.
think I need to see what we're doing with Daredevil first.
Mm.
I think I need to see what's happening street level in New York City right now.
It would be cool if I guess Hawkeye would be involved in some type of, Devil's Reign style fight with Kingpin.
I I'd like to see Hawkeye be more street level just because that's where I love him most in this.
Hmm.
Like I like seeing what the average guy does. It's another reason why I love Spider-Man, I love Daredevil, I love the ground level stuff.
Hmm.
Another reason why I read Batman and Robin and not like Justice League. Um,
Just League Unlimited is apparently very good. The new one that they're starting up with Mark Waid and Dan Mora.
oh, sorry, you said Dan
It's
Mora. I need
it's
to
an
read it
it's
now.
it's an it's an all-star team.
I'm sure if you watch the playback, you just see my eyes go wide when you said Dan
Hmm.
Mora.
We'll clip
Um,
we'll clip that one. Just Dan Mora.
don't. Um, but yes, I would like to see another season of street level stuff.
Hmm.
I don't know where the Marvel Universe is right now, for being honest. It's gotten so
Yeah,
sprawling that like I'm like reboot,
I'm at the point where I'm like
reset.
I'm fine with it just ending.
I want like as much as I'm not an event person, I'm not one of those big yearly comic event people. I'm not like
Hmm.
unless it's like a like we're just gonna take a break and write about vampires for a little while. And you're like, all right, this has no bearing on anything. Write about vampires. Let's have fun with vampires for like a little bit. That'll be our big
Are you
event.
referring to Blood Hunt from last year?
Yes.
Yeah, Blood Hunt I hear is very good. I know
It just
DC did the Elseworld story, DC versus Vampires, which that
which
was
is
also very good.
amazing. It's part heartbreaking at times, and
Yeah,
also I'm like, it's vampires. I'm just gonna have fun. Like,
yeah, they turned Nightwing into the Vampire King.
which he deserves. It's what he deserves. That one, is it the vampires or the zombies that had the bit with Stephanie and Damien?
That was Deceased. That was the Zombies
That
one
was
where
a
she suits
zombies
up again
one.
as Robin.
And he because I love the two of them dynamic. I'm sorry. This was I almost tried to make you read 90s Young Justice, so just be thankful.
Hey, I'm willing to pick that one up. Whatever you want to read
Listen,
for an episode. I hear
listen,
that one's good too.
it is silly and I
Hmm.
love it.
Okay. So
Okay.
we'll have to do that down the line. I
Yes,
guess
maybe when I'm not going crazy with my master's degree.
Yeah. I guess now's the good time to do the outro script here. I'll be professional again.
Let's see it.
Okay. So thank you once again for visiting your local comic shop. If you liked today's discussion, please feel free to check out other episodes we've done. All episodes of the podcast are available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud, with new episodes dropping every Monday at midnight. Please feel free to subscribe to the show and follow my socials at Local Comic Sean for clips, what we're reading in the future, and more fun. If you'd like to support the show, I encourage you to subscribe to our Patreon to gain access to behind the scenes content and other resources for both reading and digital creation. Thank you so much for visiting, and I'll see you the next time. Any parting word, outro, things to say, Everett?
Read Hawkeye.
And there we go.